3:47 a.m., and Sarah Chen's eyes snap open like someone flipped a switch in her brain. Not gradually, not peacefully. One second she's dreaming about something she'll never remember. The next she's staring at the ceiling of her bedroom, heart racing slightly, mind already spinning. She doesn't need to look at her phone. She knows exactly what time it is. She always knows. It's always 3 a.m., give or take 15 minutes. Always. The room is quiet, except for the hum of the refrigerator downstairs and her husband Mark's steady breathing beside her. She tries to close her eyes again, tries to will herself back to sleep. But her brain has other plans. It starts cycling through tomorrow's presentation, that awkward thing she said to her coworker 3 days ago, whether she paid the electric bill, climate change, her mother's upcoming surgery, that weird noise the car made yesterday, everything, all at once, all demanding attention right now. Sarah is 34, a project manager at a tech company in Seattle, and for the past 8 months, she's been waging a losing war against her own circadian rhythm. It started subtly, a few nights here and there where she'd wake up and lie there for 20 minutes before drifting off again. No big deal. Everyone has restless nights. But then it became more frequent. Then it became every night. Then it became 2 hours of staring at darkness, checking her phone, trying breathing exercises, listening to sleep podcasts, taking melatonin, trying magnesium, buying blackout curtains, setting the thermostat to exactly 67 degrees. Nothing worked. She's read all the articles. She knows the advice. Don't look at screens. Don't check the time. Don't let yourself get frustrated. Keep the room cool and dark. Establish a bedtime routine. No caffeine after 2 p.m. Exercise regularly, but not too close to bedtime. She's done it all, every single thing. And still, like clockwork, her eyes open at 3 a.m. The worst part isn't even the tiredness, though that's real. The worst part is the failure. The sense that her own body has betrayed her, that she can't do something as basic and fundamental as sleep like a normal person. She watches Mark sleeping peacefully and feels a surge of resentment mixed with envy. What's wrong with me? Why can't I just sleep? During the day, she's exhausted. She drinks coffee until noon, then switches to green tea, trying to balance alertness with the knowledge that she needs to sleep tonight. Tonight will be different, she tells herself. Tonight I'll be so tired I'll sleep through. But it never works. The exhaustion doesn't translate to sleep. It just translates to being exhausted and awake at 3 a.m. instead of just awake. Her work is suffering, not catastrophically, not in ways anyone else notices yet, but she notices. The sharpness is gone, the creativity, the ability to hold multiple complex threads in her mind simultaneously. She's getting by on experience and competence, but she's not excelling. She's just surviving. The breaking point comes on a Tuesday morning after her 7th consecutive night of 3 a.m. wakefulness. She's in the bathroom getting ready for work, and she catches her reflection in the mirror mid-routine. Really catches it. Not just glancing while brushing her teeth, but actually stops and looks. The dark circles, the dullness in her eyes, the way her face seems to have aged 5 years in 8 months. And something inside her just cracks. She sits down on the edge of the bathtub and cries. Not quiet tears, full body sobs, the kind of crying that feels like it's been building for months and finally found its way out. Mark knocks on the door, worried, but she can't even form words to explain. How do you explain that you're having a breakdown over sleep, over something so mundane, so basic that everyone else on the planet seems to do without thinking? She calls in sick. Spends the day on the couch, too tired to sleep, too wired to rest, just existing in this horrible liminal space between exhaustion and anxiety. She Googles chronic insomnia and falls down a rabbit hole of medical articles, forums, sleep studies, cognitive behavioral therapy protocols. Everyone has advice. No one has answers. Not for her, not answers that work. That night, she doesn't even try the usual routine. doesn't do the progressive muscle relaxation or the 4-7-8 breathing or the meditation app. She just lies down at 10 p.m. and waits. Waits for 3 a.m. It feels like surrender, and maybe it is. The email arrives from her estranged grandfather in Tokyo 3 days later. Subject line, "I heard you're not sleeping." Her mother must have mentioned it during their weekly call. Sarah almost deletes it without reading. She and her grandfather haven't spoken in years, not since her grandmother's funeral when Sarah was 23. Not because of any particular conflict, just distance, geography, life, the way relationships sometimes fade without dramatic endings. But something makes her open it. "Sarah, your mother tells me you wake at 3 a.m. every night and cannot return to sleep. She says you are suffering, fighting, trying everything to fix this problem. I am writing to tell you there is no problem to fix. There is only a gift you have not yet learned to receive. If you are willing to listen to an old man's perspective, I will share what I learned during my own years of 3 a.m. wakefulness. Not how to stop it, how to use it, how it became the most valuable time of my entire life. The choice, as always, is yours. Grandfather Takeshi." Sarah reads it 3 times. Her first instinct is dismissal. Easy for him to romanticize insomnia from the other side of the world. Easy to call it a gift when you're not the one losing your mind at 3 a.m. every single night. But there's something in the tone, not prescriptive, not claiming to have all the answers, just offering a different lens. She replies, "I'm willing to listen." His response comes within an hour, which means he's awake at, she does the math, 3 a.m. his time. Of course he is. The email is long, detailed, not a quick fix or a miracle cure, but a complete reframing of everything Sarah has believed about her nightly wakefulness. Her grandfather's philosophy, which he calls the hour of the wolf reimagined, is based on a simple premise. What if the problem isn't waking up, but what you believe waking up means? What if that 3 a.m. consciousness isn't a malfunction, but a feature? What if you stopped fighting it and started using it? He explains that he started waking at 3 a.m. at age 42, after his promotion to senior engineer at Toyota. Like Sarah, he spent months fighting it. Doctors, medications, sleep hygiene protocols, nothing worked. He was exhausted, frustrated, convinced something was fundamentally broken in him. Until one night, instead of lying there willing himself back to sleep, he got up, not to watch TV or scroll his phone, not to do chores or catch up on work. He got up and sat in his study with a cup of tea and did nothing, just sat, breathed, existed in the quiet. And something unexpected happened. His mind, freed from the pressure to sleep, began to settle. Not immediately, not that first night, but gradually, over weeks, he noticed something. The thoughts that churned anxiously at 3 a.m. when he was lying in bed became clear and focused when he was sitting upright, awake, accepting the moment as it was. He started using those hours intentionally, not productively at first. Productivity would come later. At first, he just used them to be awake, to stop fighting, to accept that his body and mind had decided this was their rhythm, and maybe that was okay. The framework he eventually developed has 3 core principles. First, acceptance without judgment. The moment you wake up, you acknowledge it without labeling it as good or bad, success or failure. You simply observe, "I am awake, that's all." Not, "I'm awake again, this is terrible, I'm broken, tomorrow will be awful." Just, "I am awake." This simple shift removes 80% of the suffering, because most of the suffering isn't the wakefulness itself, it's the story you tell yourself about the wakefulness. Second, intentional engagement. You get out of bed. This is non-negotiable. Staying in bed, fighting sleep, creates a psychological association between your bed and struggle. Your bed becomes a battleground instead of a place of rest. So you get up. You move to a different space. You have a pre-decided activity waiting. Not work, not screen time. Something that engages your mind gently without stimulating your nervous system. Reading philosophy, journaling, sketching, learning a language. Something you've always wanted to do but never had time for. Now you have time. 2 hours every night. That's 60 hours a month, 730 hours a year. What could you accomplish with an extra 730 hours? Third, the return ritual. After 60 to 90 minutes, when you feel the first genuine signs of sleepiness, not forced tiredness, but real natural sleepiness, you return to bed. You don't check if you're tired enough. You don't test yourself. You simply notice, my eyelids are heavy, my thoughts are slowing, my body is ready, and you go back. Sometimes you sleep, sometimes you don't. Either way, you've used the time. Either way, you haven't suffered. Her grandfather's email includes a warning. This is not a technique to make insomnia go away. That is still fighting, still trying to fix. This is accepting that your consciousness operates on a different rhythm than others, and that rhythm is not inferior, just different. Some of history's greatest minds woke in the night. They called it different things in different eras. The hour of the wolf, the witching hour, segmented sleep. Our ancestors often slept in 2 phases, waking naturally in the middle of the night for prayer, contemplation, intimacy. We have decided this is abnormal only because industrial capitalism decided 8 consecutive hours was optimal for factory productivity. But your body is not a factory. Your mind is not a machine. What if it knows something you don't? Sarah finishes reading at 11 p.m. She's simultaneously skeptical and intrigued. Part of her wants to dismiss it as Eastern mysticism or old person wisdom that doesn't apply to her modern, high-pressure life. But another part of her, the part that's exhausted from fighting, thinks, what do I have to lose? Night. One of the experiment, Sarah's alarm goes off at 2:45 a.m. She set it deliberately, taking control of the wake-up instead of waiting for it to happen to her. When it buzzes, she's actually sleeping. The irony isn't lost on her, but she gets up anyway, following the protocol exactly as her grandfather described. She goes downstairs to the reading nook she hasn't used in years, the one that used to be her favorite spot before her life became too busy for reading nooks. She makes chamomile tea. She opens a book she's owned for 3 years but never started, a collection of essays on philosophy and nature, and she reads. The first 20 minutes are excruciating. Her mind screams at her, "What are you doing? You should be sleeping. You have work tomorrow. This is insane." But she notices the thoughts without engaging, just notices, observes, lets them pass, and slowly, very slowly, something shifts. The anxiety starts to drain away, not completely, not magically, but noticeably. She reads for an hour. Some of it penetrates, some doesn't. That's okay. She's not here to become a philosophy expert. She's here to exist peacefully at 3 a.m., which she's never done before. Around 4:30, she feels it. Real tiredness, not the wired exhaustion she normally has, but genuine sleepiness. Heavy eyelids, soft thoughts. She returns to bed. Mark hasn't even stirred. She falls asleep within minutes. The next morning, she wakes to her 7 a.m. alarm feeling different. Not perfect, not completely rested, but different. There's no hangover of failure, no sense of having battled herself all night. Just, I woke up, I read, I went back to sleep. That's what happened. She continues the experiment. Night 2 is harder. Her mind fights more, but she sticks with it. Night 3, she wakes naturally at 3:12 a.m. and instead of panic, feels a weird sense of readiness, like her mind knows the routine now. By night 7, something unexpected happens. She actually looks forward to it, to that quiet time that belongs only to her. She switches from reading to journaling on night 10. starts writing about things she hasn't let herself think about in years, dreams she deferred, resentments she's been carrying, questions about whether she's living the life she actually wants or just the life she thought she should want. The words pour out in ways they never could during the busy, distracted day. By week 3, she's established a full ritual. Wake at 3 a.m., drink tea, journal for 30 minutes. Then work on something she's always wanted to do but never had time for, learning to draw. She's terrible at it, objectively awful. But at 3:30 a.m. with no one watching, no one judging, she doesn't care. She sketches, she experiments, she allows herself to be bad at something without it meaning anything about her worth. The transformation isn't instant. There are still hard nights, nights when the anxiety creeps back in, nights when she's frustrated with tiredness. But the relationship to those nights changes. They're not failures, they're just harder nights, part of the rhythm, part of being human. Around week 6, Mark notices something. "You seem different," he says over breakfast. "Calmer, maybe? I don't know, something's shifted." She hasn't told him about the 3 a.m. ritual, hasn't wanted to explain something she barely understands herself, but she tells him now. About her grandfather's email, about the framework, about reading and journaling and drawing terrible sketches of their coffee maker. He's quiet for a moment, then says, "You've been happier. I thought maybe work was better, or I don't know. But you've been happier. If waking up at 3 a.m. makes you happier than sleeping through the night made you miserable, then keep doing it." It's not the response she expected. She'd braced for concern, for suggestions that she try something else, for well-meaning attempts to fix her. But he just accepts it, supports it, because he sees the change, even if he doesn't fully understand it. 90 days later, Sarah's life looks unrecognizable, not in dramatic external ways. She still has the same job, same house, same husband, but internally everything has shifted. She's written 50,000 words in her journal, processing years of unexamined thoughts and feelings. She's filled a sketchbook with terrible drawings that somehow capture more truth than any photograph. She's read 14 books she'd been meaning to read. She's learned conversational Japanese to better communicate with her grandfather, who she now emails regularly. But more than the tangible accomplishments, there's this. She's at peace with herself in a way she hasn't been since childhood. The 3 a.m. wakefulness isn't a problem to solve. It's a part of who she is, a part that grants her something precious. Time with herself. Uninterrupted, unscheduled, completely her own. Her sleep has actually improved, paradoxically. Some nights she sleeps straight through now. When that happens, she feels mildly disappointed. She's started to cherish those quiet hours more than the continuous sleep. She's producing her best work at her job in years because the mental clarity that comes from processing her thoughts at 3 a.m. carries over into her days. She's more present with Mark, with friends, with life, because she's not carrying around the constant background hum of exhaustion and self-judgment. She tells her grandfather this during a video call, their first face-to-face conversation in over a decade. He smiles, his face creased with age and wisdom. "The gift was always there," he says. "You just needed to stop seeing it as a curse long enough to unwrap it." Here's what most sleep experts won't tell you. Humans weren't designed to sleep 8 consecutive hours. That's a modern construct, a byproduct of industrial schedules and electric lighting. Historical records and anthropological studies of pre-industrial societies show that segmented sleep, sleeping in 2 distinct phases with a period of wakefulness in between, was completely normal for thousands of years. People would sleep for 3 or 4 hours, wake for an hour or 2 in the middle of the night for prayer, meditation, intimacy, or quiet contemplation, then return to sleep until morning. We've pathologized something that might actually be a natural human rhythm. We've turned a feature into a bug, and in doing so, we've created enormous suffering for the millions of people whose bodies still follow that ancient pattern. If you're someone who wakes at 3 a.m., or 2 a.m., or 4 a.m., or any hour when the world is dark and quiet, you have 3 choices. You can keep fighting it, keep seeing it as a problem to solve, keep suffering through the exhaustion and frustration and sense of failure. That's a valid choice. Sometimes medical intervention is necessary, and there's no shame in seeking help. Or you can accept pharmaceutical or therapeutic solutions that work for your body and your life, also completely valid. Or you can do what Sarah did, what her grandfather did, what countless others throughout history have done. You can stop fighting. You can accept that your rhythm is different, and different doesn't mean broken. You can ask yourself, what if this wakefulness is not happening to me, but for me? What if these quiet hours are a gift I've been rejecting because I've labeled them wrong? Think about it. When else in your entire day do you have 2 hours of complete solitude? When else is your mind clear of the day's demands, your phone silent, your obligations suspended? Never. The answer is never. Unless you're one of the people who wakes at 3 a.m. You could use that time to finally write the book you've been thinking about for years, to learn the language you've always wanted to speak, to sketch or paint or make music or just think, to process emotions you don't have space for during the day, to plan the life you actually want instead of the one you're defaulting into, to meditate, pray, or simply exist without the constant pressure to be productive. 2 hours a night, every night. That's 730 hours a year, the equivalent of 91 8-hour workdays. That's a full quarter of a year's worth of work hours, completely free, completely yours, granted to you while everyone else sleeps. The reframe required is simple but profound. Stop asking, how do I fix this? And start asking, how do I use this? Stop seeing insomnia and start seeing opportunity. Stop fighting your body's rhythm and start dancing with it. The practical steps are straightforward, though not always easy. When you wake, acknowledge it without judgment. Don't spiral into frustration. Don't check the time with dread. Just notice, I'm awake. Okay, this is what's happening right now. Get out of bed. Don't lie there fighting. Don't try to force sleep. That just creates anxiety and psychological association between your bed and struggle. Get up, move to a different space, have a plan for what you'll do. Not busy work, not scrolling social media, something meaningful, something you've been wanting to do but never had time for. Engage fully in your chosen activity for 60 to 90 minutes, not as a trick to make yourself tired, not as a means to an end. Engage because you're awake and you might as well use this time. Read deeply, write honestly, create freely, learn genuinely, be present with whatever you've chosen to do. When you feel natural sleepiness, and you will eventually, return to bed. No testing, no second guessing, just notice the signs. Heavy eyelids, wandering attention, that soft feeling in your body. Then go back to bed and sleep, or don't. Either way, you've won because you haven't suffered. Be patient with yourself. This isn't an instant fix. It's a fundamental shift in relationship with your own body and mind. That takes time. There will be nights when the old anxiety creeps back in. Nights when you're frustrated and exhausted and just want to sleep like normal people. That's okay. That's part of being human. Notice it. Be kind to yourself and keep showing up to the practice. The people who succeed with this aren't the ones who never struggle. They're the ones who struggle and show up anyway, who choose acceptance over resistance, who decide that their 3 a.m. wakefulness is not a problem, but a characteristic like having brown eyes or a particular laugh, just part of who they are. Tonight, or whenever you next wake at 3 a.m., try this. Don't reach for your phone to check the time anxiously. Don't lie there cataloging all the sleep you're losing. Don't start the mental spiral of worry about tomorrow. Instead, get up, make yourself tea or water, sit somewhere comfortable, and ask yourself one simple question. If I stopped seeing this as a problem, what becomes possible? Maybe you'll discover, like Sarah did, that the thing you've been fighting is actually the thing that saves you. That the hours you've been dreading are the hours that give you back to yourself. That the curse you've been carrying is actually a gift you've been too afraid to accept. The 3 a.m. rule isn't about controlling your sleep. It's about surrendering control and discovering that what awaits you on the other side of surrender is not chaos, but peace. Not exhaustion, but energy. Not lost time, but found purpose. Your grandfather might not send you an email. Your transformation might not look like Sarah's, but the principle remains. What you resist persists, and what you accept transforms. Your 3 a.m. wakefulness is not happening to you. It's happening for you. The only question is whether you'll keep fighting it or finally let it teach you what it's been trying to teach you all along. That you are not broken, that your rhythm is valid, that these quiet hours in the middle of the night are not a curse but a calling, an invitation to meet yourself in the darkness and discover that you've been there all along, waiting to be found. So the next time your eyes open at 3 a.m., and they will, welcome it. Get up, make your tea, open your notebook or your book or your sketch pad, and begin. Not the battle, the transformation. The gift has been waiting. It's time to unwrap it.